Hey guys, I hope all of you are doing good. I am making this video because of this one particular research paper that I recently read, and it was kind of an eye opener. Tell me if you can relate to me. Have this ever happened to you that you are full, you just had your dinner, you just had your lunch, but you see a billboard, you see an Instagram reel, you see some advertisement of a food item, you smell something good cooking around you, and you suddenly want to eat again. It's not because you are hungry, but it's just the presence of the food cues, as we call it, around us. Now, this paper is an actual experimental study based on the whole aspect of overeating. So, rather than going into details of what the study did, what I understood from the study is that the presence of food cues around us are the mere reasons that we tend to overeat. So, for example, let's say I'm going for a walk and I enter a street where there are a lot of billboards, a lot of advertisements about some famous burger, some famous fries, but I just had my dinner and still I want to eat it. Now, according to this paper, there are two main brain regions involved in this. So, before telling the main regions, I want to talk about prefrontal cortex. So, as you might know, this area of our brain is the prefrontal cortex, which is basically responsible for almost all higher order cognitive processes like your decision making, your problem solving. So this part of brain is responsible for all decisions that you make basically, and mind you that this part only matures when you are an adult. So you know, this part matures when you are between the ages of 21 to 25 years old, mostly matures between this age group. So that just means that when you are a child and you are exposed to certain food cues, you basically have a very limited decision making power because of your prefrontal cortex. Now, according to the paper that I was reading, there are two major parts of prefrontal cortex that plays a role when we see food cues around us. One is the medial part of the prefrontal cortex. Now, this medial part is responsible for emotional triggering. So, let's say you are hungry and you have been given two options. One is a very high dense calorie food item, and one is a very low calorie, like suppose like a fruit versus a paneer wrap. So when you are hungry, the medial part of your brain makes you want to eat the high calorie item, and this also comes from the fact that our ancestors basically had scarcity of food and they had to overeat because they didn't know when they are going to get food next. So this part of the brain basically attaches um, food with our emotions. It creates this idea that what looks more tempting, what looks more exciting, and even when you are not hungry, this part of the brain wants you to eat because something looks good, something smells good, something is present around you, not because you want to eat it, but just the presence of the food item. On the other hand, there is another part of the prefrontal cortex, basically called dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Now, this is the main conscious part of prefrontal cortex that kinds of make you wonder, do I really want to eat it? Do I want to eat it because it's present, or I want to eat it because um, I'm hungry? So it is the conscious part of prefrontal cortex that makes you think about your decision, makes you wonder, makes you question your decision. So suppose your brain might signal you by saying that this looks good, but do you really want to eat it? And this is basically the control system of your prefrontal cortex, whereas medial prefrontal cortex is more of a this looks rewarding. So there are then again two sets of people. One is someone who is kind of eating because something looks tempting, something is emotionally rewarding, someone who has maybe a medial prefrontal cortex dominance, whereas someone else who is very conscious, who's always listening to their body, who has an whole idea of how much portion they want to eat, or someone like me who sometimes resist at night eating because oh I'm full, or sometimes just eat without thinking. So you know what I thought after reading this paper is that it's really important to understand how to reduce these cues. We cannot just avoid seeing billboards around us, but there are some of the steps that we can take as individuals to kind of reduce this tempting food environment. First is creating some sort of resistance. So either deleting food delivery apps and only installing them in actual need rather than scrolling just because you saw something on a reel. Making your algorithm cater in a way that you basically do not get a lot of food reels, especially during night. Also, pre-planning your meals is something that can create a lot of difference. So let's say I have plans to go out, not for eating something but just going out, and I know that I have a tendency to get um impacted or get influenced due to the food that I see. So what I can do is, rather than eating my whole dinner, I can portion it and then I can keep some space for later on. A better idea is also to plan how you want to eat your junk, how you want to keep your portion size controlled, how can reduce eating unhealthy snacks. So I'm not saying eating healthy snacks or overeating healthy snacks is the best way. It is not, but I'm just saying that if you want to keep snacks at your home, keep healthier snacks in your sight and the junk food out of your sight. Basically, out of your sight is out of your mind. So that helps you create resistance in eating that food that you are not able to see, and someday if you actually got remembered of it, maybe you can think about eating it. That comes to the last step of it, which is thinking before you eat. Even while you're eating your lunch, dinner, breakfast, maybe before actually eating, think about how much you want to eat. Take that amount of food in your plate and make a rule that you will not take extra food after this because you consciously decided this is how much you needed. And we all have heard about the 80% rule, that eat only till you are 80% full. So the best thing is to actually listen to your brain and your body. You will get a signal when your satiety level has reached or when you are 80% full. You will consciously have to stop eating at that point, and that is how you will basically overcome this whole aspect of overeating. It's very important to understand that all these billboards, marketing, food reels, everything, there are hundreds of psychologists, neuroscientists, a hundred of marketing people involved in making you want to eat food. That is how they sell their product. They actually want to trigger those brain areas that you want to give you a reward. It's important that you don't get influenced. I read that overeating of food is half of the reason that people are becoming obese and overweight. And it's important, if you are in a health journey, if you're trying to be healthy, more mindful, more happy, then it's better that you kind of get into this habit of listening to your body and being more mindful about it. I can attach the link of the paper if you want to read it, but if you have any thoughts on it, please write down in your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.